Okay, guys, welcome to a new episode on the Five Eye channel. This is Amari, and today's episode, I'm going to be talking to my fellow black people and, men and women, boys and girls, about sex, sexual history, and sexual longings. So here we have this article. Toni Braxton, the famous singer, who I'm somewhat familiar with, but not really all that into, states that she regrets not having more sex than when she was younger. Now, one thing I've got to say about the title of this article, I find it very funny, not funny. I find it very intriguing how this is what the lead of it is. They're leading with, out of all the things that are interesting here, that's the kicker. She talks about here in the article about her past. Like, for example, her family literally just moving from religion to religion, and they're just saying that's the 70s. 70s was a very religious era. To me, that's pretty interesting because I view the 70s as the worst period of time in American history. And I view that as a very non-religious era to me. I feel like also for the black communities, 70s that's definitely the period of time where I think things started to shift down towards a bad turn for us. And also talking about how she was singing, at that when she learned to sing when she was younger as a kid, how her voice being a bit different than the others and everything like that. All these are all much more interesting things, but I regret not having more sex when I was younger. I should have drank more. I should have partied more, smoked more. My religious upbringing stopped me doing a lot of things that I should have done. Now, right there is the reason why people have religion, because I'm pretty sure it stopped her doing a lot of things she would have still regretted. She says, it's not a good look at the age I am now. That makes no sense. That's actually, the ladies, that's one of the best things you can tell a dude is that you really didn't do too much or you didn't do anything at all. The way it works is if you do the stuff in your 20s and 30s, you do that stuff in your 20s and 30s, and then in your 40s, you've earned enough to pay for the therapy. That is a very, very, very important line right there. And it kind of affirms everything that it reaffirms what I've been saying. It validates it completely. Even if it's my opinion, it kind of turns my opinion into a fact. Why would you do something in your youth that's going to require you obtain therapy for it when you're older? That's the thing that I feel like a lot of black men and women in this country, when it comes to sex, I think black men's and women's feelings to sex in this country, it's a mix of things. For a lot of us, it's unrealized. For a lot of us, it's too much of an abundance. For a lot of us, it's our identity. Black people are the most sexualized group in America. We are highly sexualized. But we're not the most deviant, in my opinion. But we are very, very sexualized, and it's black people all across the board, except for old people, because I feel like old white men and women are sexualized. But still, we have to change our views on sex and entertainment if a lot of black people are going to make it into this new post-pandemic world that we're living in. One thing I want to say is that sex is not that important in the grand scheme of things. See, Toni is 52 years old right now, and I don't think she has a husband. So I have a feeling she might be saying this because she feels like she already wasted a lot of her time because she is this old. And let me just make sure. Is Toni Braxton single? Ended her engagement to Birdman. Single. Okay, so yes, it seems like she's single, and I did not know she was engaged to Birdman. So being engaged to Birdman will probably make you wish you did everything in your life, because I'm pretty sure she almost died with that dude a couple of occasions in her life. But even still, she's definitely regretting probably not living her life because of how she ended up now. And I don't really like that stance, because it's going to make a lot of young black youth think that they have to do everything they can in the moment as immediately as possible. And that attitude permeates into our community. I think it's why we have a lot of youth out there in a lot of our bad communities, even in our good communities, that feel like they're not going to live another day anyway. So they just do whatever they want when they can now. And I feel like from a sexual standpoint, from the boys' perspective, it definitely makes a lot of boys feel like if you have a chance to have sex, you have to take it every single time. Every single time. If a girl wants to have sex, you do it. Oh, you messed up, you didn't have sex with her, you're a loser. Oh, you messed up, you didn't have sex with her, you're a nice guy. You gotta stop Dr. Phil and these women. You gotta stop, like a guy, like a black boy is basically told he's gotta get that, he's gotta go get that WAP quick, or he gonna have a dad. If you don't get that WAP, he gonna end up with a dad. And I think this also confuses a lot of young black women. And I feel like because of this confusion, they go down that path. Because we raise girls in this country is so polarizing now. When girls are young, we raise them to not want to be this way. And what I mean is, like, we try to raise our girls to be a bit sheltered. We try to raise girls conventional. That's why there's always that argument from a lot of girls, like, Dad, you let my brother do whatever he wants. Because your brother could go out, get someone pregnant, and honestly just dip and come back, and it's like nothing happened. Men, we can detach from sex a bit easier. But for a girl, if a guy comes in and plants a seed in her, she's going to take that back home. So there's just more risk associated with a girl's upbringing sexually than a boy's. But we are living in this new era now that is essentially trying to have women get as sexually active as they can for as long as they can, as early as possible. And a lot of girls, I can understand, are probably not knowing how to feel because their family doesn't want them to be like this. But the people they're around, they interact with the rest of the world, essentially, wants them to act like this. So now when it comes to the relationship between black women and black men, we as boys are growing up pushing ourselves on black women, and then also being extremely hard on ourselves when we don't push through. And black women are growing up feeling like, knowing they really should be conservative with their bodies, but the fun and flow of the real world influences them to kind of let loose. And that creates a lot of chaos between the relationship between black men and women, because now we are exerting too much energy. It takes too much energy to act like that. Sex is one of the most pure transfers of energy that a human being can give to another human being. It's the most intimate way. Beyond everything we can do, whether it's the only other thing that's probably comes close to it, in my personal opinion, is violence. Sex is not a game. Sex is not a joke. It's very serious. And that is why I feel like it is not good for black people to feel the same way as Miss Braxton. Because you're not missing out on anything. You know, this article could definitely make a lot of young youth, black youth, feel like they are going to miss out. They are missing out, or they have missed out. And I'm not crazy experienced having sex myself, only doing it a couple times, not with too many people. But I've had chances. I've had my chances. I've messed up my chances. I've ignored my chances sometimes. I've completely pushed them away. So it's not like I'm a Mac. I'm not Alpha Male Strategies. I'm not Donovan Sharp. But what I can tell you is that what's the downside of not having sex? If you don't want kids or a girlfriend or anything like that, what's the downside to it? There's really nothing. What are you losing out on? You know, I feel like black people should ask themselves if they feel like Toni Braxton, if you feel like Miss Braxton here, okay, you regret missing out on the fun and the sex, but what did you have to lose though? What did you lose from that? The worst is probably your pride and your ego and maybe your self-respect, but still, did you lose money? Because I can guarantee you, if you're a guy, if you're out there trying to have sex, you're going to lose money every now and then. You know, it's just going to happen. It doesn't matter how attractive you are. You're going to spend some bread getting some head. You know, you're going to spend time. You're going to put yourself in situations that are not enjoyable. You know, I've personally have been in a couple situations. I'm talking to a girl. I'm interested in a girl, but they have a boyfriend. But since they've kind of moved on for their boyfriend and they're moving on to me, they don't have the wherewithal to end their relationship and then communicate with me. So the boyfriend finds out. Next thing you know, I got to do all call on my phone, telling me he gonna beat me up or begging me to talk to him so he can just understand why she's doing this. All these kinds of things. You know, sex is fun. Getting drunk is fun. Doing some drugs is fun. Going out exploring is fun. But it requires energy. It requires time. It requires you and your entire being. And the one thing she's not saying, the one thing she's being disingenuous about is that all that is risky. In fact, it's kind of ironic because it's like, Miss Braxton, if you did all that stuff, you wouldn't be where you are today because you'd be too distracted. You're talking about you basically wish you tore yourself up in your 20s and your 30s. But you're a singer, though. If you are a singer and you drink and do a lot of drugs and stuff, admittedly, a lot of people out there have had great careers. If anything, you could say for some singers, it was the drugs that made them that way. But it's a risk, and it could completely destroy your talent. That's just on the front end. What if you had gone out there and you drank so much and tried to drive and you crashed into a car, a pole, you know, or you went out there and you had relations with 6 guys and now you have 2 kids. Now you aren't able to really go after your career like you wanted. Like, it's a very real chance that if Miss Braxton had done those things when she did them, we may not even know who she is today. She wouldn't even be in the position she is today. And I really hope she realizes this, because I feel like a lot of black people out there, a lot of, especially our youth, I feel like they're focused on the wrong things. If you don't have sex, if you don't party and all that, you're not missing out on much. What you should focus on is creating other experiences for yourself. You need to control your life, you know, because when you feel like you're missing out on all those parties and stuff like that, all those things everybody else is doing, you're living your life according to how those other people live their lives. They want to do that, but do you really want to do that? I don't really like going in clubs and bars that play pop music or top 40 music, whatever. I'm being very serious. Like, I get out there and I catch a panic attack because that music is so formulaic, it's so boring, and it's just so trash to me that I can't get in the mood for it. I can't really dance and be myself out there. And when I'm out there in the middle of the crowd and everybody's having a great time, but I'm not, I just catch a panic attack because it's over. My energy is just overwhelming. It's like I'm on the opposite end. Everybody else is like literally down on the other side of the seesaw, and I'm just at the top, and I'm too far up to get down. I feel like I'll die if I get off, So I'm not in those places anymore. I've partied a lot, and it was fun times, but I'd say 60% of the parties is to duds. 20% were like amazing experiences, and the other 20% things just went left, and I kind of wish I wasn't there for those moments. It's not. It's like she basically wanted the college experience, and it's just this world is too big. There's too many things you can do to supplement that experience. You don't have to be popping perks and stuff to have a good time. Focus on yourself, work on your purpose, and get to the point where you have enough money to travel to Cabo, or you can find a rowing group if you like to row and just row with the people every weekend or something. Find other things, find things that you like to do, because in the end, eventually you're going to do whatever you're doing and it's going to stop, and you're going to have to move on with your life and go somewhere. There's always parties to be had. If anything, shoot, why do you care so much about the college parties you weren't able to go to? Upgrade your circle and the things you do, and you can probably be in better parties. I'm a musician. I like to produce music, and eventually I'll become a DJ. I also like to rap. I've been in plenty of good environments because of my talent and me following my talent and my hobby. I've been in plenty of places where it was always good vibes. Everybody's doing their thing. We're all having a good time, and it was really, really good experiences, and they can only get better from that. One of my goals is to eventually be into a listening session for a big artist that I like, but also be there as an associate as well. I can imagine that being better than just some run-of-the-mill college party where everyone's drinking and throwing up and falling all over the place and peeing all over the backyard fence. So you're not missing anything. And we have to make sure, we as black people, we have to make sure we let our youth know that it's great to have fun, but you have to be moderate with it. You have to have your kind of fun. You just don't force yourself to do things you don't like. You don't want to drink, don't do it. If you don't want to, I had another situation. Could have got in the car with one of my friends. He was super drunk, decided not to. He almost crashed that car that night. And they're not missing out on anything. The only thing you're going to really miss out on life, truly miss out on life, is opportunities. Those are things you have to worry about missing out on. So if you have an opportunity for something special, something important, do not miss out on that. But superfluous things like having a good time, you can do it if you want, but don't hold it in the regard like Mrs. Braxton. Because, ironically, she could do those things now. Just because you didn't do them in your 20s or 30s don't mean you can't do it now. But see, now she's in her 50s and she really doesn't have the energy for that. So, anyways, that's my video for this subject. And next time we are going to be talking about Cal Bittenhouse, or whatever his name is, and accountability among white people. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like or subscribe or laugh. Doesn't really matter to me. Anyways, see with your eyes, not your soul. Wait. See with your soul, not your eyes. I'm bad at this.